Hello guys and welcome back to another game. We are here on Arabia. We're back in a 1v1. Just as I thought I'd mix things up again. Do the old switcheroo. Put it into 1v1s. Get away from the 2v2s for a bit. But I can promise there'll be a hell of a lot more 2v2s going on. Just because I really want to start getting the mix up there. I need to learn to cast 2v2s a bit better. So we may as well have a look at it. Of course, there's a whole range of players we will see in 2v2s that you don't see in 1v1. So straight away in the blue playing as the Huns, we have Spring, very well known American player. Known for doing things a little bit differently and definitely playing a little bit more interestingly and aggressively, I should say, and nothing can kind of describe that more, or at least show that more, than this little opening sequence here, because he's already lured his boar in before he's even taken any sheep. That should tell you what kind of person this is. He's fantastic on stream as well. Definitely recommend checking him out. He does some really interesting strategies, so it's really good for keeping you entertained. And usually if you're in chat and you tell him to do something, he'll probably do it. So I remember I was in there the other day and I said, you should just go full militia. And he did. He lost, of course, but he did and it was cool. And that's what mattered, because this guy cares, you know? So his opponent for this game is going to be a very well-known Brazilian player. Dogao, extremely well-known for his performance in 2v2s, 3v3s, 4v4s. Very strong team player overall, so it's definitely one to keep an eye on, be careful with, especially if you see him on the opponent's team. That said, 1v1 is definitely his strongest suit. He's extremely strong and versed 1v1 player, so you've got to be very careful against him in these kind of games. So playing as Huns as well, so we are in for a Huns matchup on Arabia. Checking the maps out, just before I start talking about anything else that's a little bit out there, just because usually I do actually forget to talk about maps, and I figured that should probably be a pretty big priority, you know. So towards the back of Dogao's base, we can see his berries, and he has two options for his lumber, so he's going to be in a pretty good spot with this. If he does decide to split, he can split over here and be pretty effective in doing so. That said, can defend his berries pretty well as well, just from any kind of drush or forward push, just because he can actually wall off to secure the TC there, force his opponent to come all the way around. Luring in his second boar here, going to be a big open area here on the side. Looks like his main gold quite far forward from the TC actually. So going to have a little bit of trouble with that one. A little bit more gold on the front, little amount of hill here, but not too bad overall. So not looking like a bad map. It is just quite open towards the front, but can always wall off to the TC to try and secure this back half. As for Spring, he's going to have his berries towards the left of the TC, put up his lumber camp towards the bottom as well. No other forest around, so he's going to have a little bit of trouble. Ooh, did manage to snag the scout there, so really good play. And looks like Spring's pretty happy about that one, actually. So it looks like what we're going to see, going to potentially go down over here if he wants to. Wouldn't be surprised if we see a town center come up down here later on. But apart from that, not really too much we can be seeing. A little bit of stone here towards the front as well. Main gold towards the front, again, quite far away from the TC. And it looks like he might actually, no, nearly got his scout revenge there, but it didn't happen. Spring already on his way up to Feudal Age. Looks like Dogao going to be clicking out reasonably soon as well. So let's slow things down. Just make sure we've got our eye in here. As far as it goes, just scrolling across the map to show you the rush distance. It is actually quite close, but at the same time, I have seen much quicker rush distances where it's been from here to, say, here. But of course, you can go corner to complete opposite corner, which gives you about this much rush distance. So always one to be considering. It looks like we can see Spring already going forward with a couple of villages as well. So it looks like he is going into full Spring mode and going to do as much damage here as he can. Actually going to be hitting up at 949. That's an extremely quick uptime. What's his pop? And that's on 22. No, Spring, yeah, 21 pop. 21 pop at 949. That is an incredibly fast feudal time. In fact, if you guys, a good feudal time is usually about 10:20, 10:30. An okay feudal time generally around 10:40. Anything after that, you're starting to get a little bit late. So really, this is just a ludicrous time from him. He's done extremely well with this one, and it's probably due to the fact he took that boar nice and early. So really good play from him here, and it looks like he's got quite a few villages on berries there as well, mostly on wood. So it looks like we will be seeing a forward barracks and probably into archery range. Probably going to see some walling up around here. Probably a couple of aggressive towers. Man, I can't wait to see this play out. This is going to be really interesting. We can see Dogao's going down with the barracks as well. Hasn't done any defensive walling. Has split to the same lumber site though. So could be a little bit bad, but in the end, as long as Spring doesn't get into his eco, he's going to be okay. Spring going down with the eco upgrades nice and early already, and man, this is some really good play from Spring. I'm actually really impressed he's managed to do this one. He's actually got the wood there as well to actually drop the archery range. Can potentially drop a second one if he wants to, but yep, there's a second archery range going down as well. So going to be in a really good place here. A little bit of a wall off going off from Dogao, but as you can see, Spring looking to get super, super aggressive right now. We can see the archery range getting dropped down. It looks like that villager, yep, karate chopping that scout there to death. Archer Ranger is getting thrown up from Spring, so we're not seeing a scout transition out of these guys right now. Looks like they are going straight into archers, of course. Neither of them on gold, meaning that they will have to go for that skirmisher push, and from there, that's exactly what we should be seeing from Spring. And Spring going to need to find a way to keep these villages at the front busy now, because if they get idled, not what we want to see. Dogao there, already getting a second range up as well, going for a little bit of a wall off at the moment as well. Going to force everything through the town centre, which is exactly what I was saying before. Aggressive tower is going up from Spring though. Can have a couple of skirmishes out to hopefully deal with that one. Has got the defensive spear out as well. It looks like he's actually stonewalling his opponent's gold here. Super, super rough. Stonewalls in Feudal Age, if you don't know, just pretty much impossible to deal with. So the fact we're actually seeing stonewalls go up around a gold mine, really, really rough. Later on in the game, he's eventually going to have to get a ram out and actually take this down before he's going to get access to gold. As for any other gold sites he's got, doesn't look like he has a lot of options. One down here in the back. Got another one on the front, one on the front. Looks like he's going to try and deny the wall, though, so going to have to be very careful not to lose a villager on the front here. Has already taken some damages, so the skirmishes could potentially make it really, really issuey and iffy here. Going to go out with some stone walls around this one here as well. Looks like the villager will get out of there just, and the skirmish is going to be pushed back as well. Spring, though, has been found out. Now, Dogao knows exactly what's going on here on the front, and it looks like skirmish is going to take this one out, and Dogao, of course, going to retreat back to base. Going to utilize that defensive town center as best he can, and just hold out. Hold out. Speeding things a little bit along, so it's starting to get a little bit stale. We're not seeing two bigger armies collide into each other. Looks like Dogao just moving out, trying to poke and prod, trying to find out where he can actually do things. And it looks like, yep, we've got that tower up still, so kind of guarding this side over here. And it looks like over here looking pretty good as well. Moving in with these guys. Looks like the skirmishers might actually be able to push these guys back, but at the same time, as long as Spring keeps this one up, he's going to be in a good place to keep just pretty much his entire economy safe, which will put him in a good spot. Get a fight under the tower as well, so good idea there straight away. And it looks like we can see the stone one. Yep, so potentially going for more aggressive towers there as well. Does have the singular spear up back home. Has lost the rest of his berries though, so going to have to put those villagers onto wood or something to really be able to get them back in the game. But needs to keep his eco as busy as possible, because right now we are looking very, very close in terms of pop. 39 for Spring and 41 for Dogao. So very, very close in terms of military though. Spring is ahead by 2 units, so a couple of extra villagers at the moment for Dogao. Going to have to be careful he doesn't fall behind in terms of eco, and it's exactly what could happen considering he's got so many villagers up on the front here. Really going to have to utilize some aggressive towers, push these villagers off over here, and get around the back. We can see though fletching is already on the way from Dogao, so going to be quite effective with that one. Haven't seen any fletching yet from Spring, and of course he is going to be a little bit off so far as well. Some good micro though. Oh yeah, Spring doing a really good job at taking down the skirmishes actually. And some good micro, going to push those skirmishes of Dogao back to base, and a good replen there as well. Looking around, what are we seeing? A blacksmith finally going up at home for Spring, so it looks like he can be potentially about to get fletching going as well. As far as it goes, we can see Spring has taken the pop lead at the moment. Villager-wise, we can see Dogao still in the lead. The military, though, for Spring, though, still quite strong. Looks like he might potentially actually be able to snag a villager here, and that's going to be a freebie. Really good pick there by Spring, getting the advantages where he can. You really need to even the games out as much as possible, especially when you've fought it up like this. This army really needs to be doing something as well, because basically as soon as you've got idle army on the field, it means you're not accomplishing anything, which means the resources can't really be justified. That said, these guys in the front are starting to take in some stone. It looks like they should be able to get up with another aggressive castle very, very soon. Looks like we do have a singular skirmisher out here, just scouting out, seeing what's going on. Looks like we're not seeing a lot either. Skirmishers moving out across the map, potentially going to get seen and spotted. Looks like they're going to try and run back, could potentially force Spring back into a defensive situation here, because if the skirmishers do get into his base, he doesn't really have too much he can do against it. Considering all his military buildings are on the front there, going to be in a little bit of an iffy situation. Fletching going down for Spring as well. Looks like we're going to speed things up here a little bit as well. Going to see some good micro by the looks of things. Spring going to utilize that hill bonus now, try and push these guys as far away as possible. Dogao really sitting on top of that hill though. Military advantage right now is for Spring, so Dogao having to be a little bit careful. Did lose his upgrade advantage there as well, so in comes Spring. And like I said, we're seeing some good micro here from both players. Dogao knowing it's time to withdraw from this battle, so Spring going to push him out, try and get a couple of snags across as he can, and not really getting too much. They're getting a little bit of extra damage. At the moment, if he can get some free damage in there, it's definitely not going to hurt. But what he really wants to do is actually take out a couple of units. Dogao getting a really good snag there. And it looks like we're going to see, yeah, yet again, Spring just hold Dogao back in his base. Scores at the moment are very, very even. We're looking at about 1,700 for both players. And Spring's actually stopped his production of skirmishes, interestingly enough. What's he swapping into? Finally going down with his first mining camp of the game, and it looks like he's going for a defensive tower on his wood line and stone as well. So it looks like he's actually elected to use this stone over here to actually get some fortifications up at home, which definitely is not a bad idea, because of course, like I was saying, if a couple of skirmishes do get out and about, he's going to have nothing at home to defend, so he's going to have to be super careful with that one, and make sure he doesn't fall too far behind. Spring, though, what's he up to? Because he's not making any more skirmishes, he's starting to bank up some food there, could be potentially thinking about going up to castle. Only thing I'm worried about is if Dogao keeps this one up, he's going to be able to push out with more skirmishes, and then it's really going to be up to Spring to try and get in, I guess, move into a night shift once he hits castle age, and just try and take them all out, because knights, as we know, pretty much absolutely destroy skirmishes, so you're going to have to be very, very careful with that one. Looks like Dogao going for wheelbarrow as well. Does have a stable up, so he can be potentially going for a couple of scouts. Having a look down here, looks like he's scouted exactly what's going on. A couple of scouts can be more than enough to really put all these skirmishes into disarray. Get 4 or 5 of them out, and then he's going to be looking at being able to take a quite easy win. Just because the pierce armor on these guys, 2, the damage on a skirmish is only 2 plus 1. So basically calculating up to 1 damage per hit. 45 HP, it tells you exactly what's going to be going on. Couple of scouts moving in. We'll throw this one into disarray. We do have another 3 coming around from the other side, though, so good at pincer movement, these guys, and that's exactly what I was expecting to see. Oh, man, you got to have those guys on at least some kind of aggressive function there, at least defensive. Get a little bit going on. Looks like we can see a secondary stable getting dropped as well. Dogao actually going down with forging, so really going for the damage right now. Didn't even go for the armor upgrade, going straight for that one, and it looks like we can see Dogao actually starting to commit to the feudal age warfare a lot more now. Of course, investing into scouts basically means he's going to put all of that towards it, and it looks like he did actually straggler tree that one, so that's a really smart play, giving him a way to actually start turning in and doing some damage towards that tower. All the skirmishes, though, getting taken out for Spring, so Spring looking like he might be in a little bit of trouble now. Bloodline's going down for Dogao as well, and these scouts are going to be in a great position just to get some raiding done, so he's going to have to come back to home. Looks like he does have the 1 spear about. That's about it, though, going out with lots of defensive towers, though, so putting himself in a good position to actually be able to defend from this one. Stable going up as well, so could be potentially looking at that one. How are we looking resource-wise? It looks like he's just about ready to go up, honestly, and we do have quite a few scouts moving across the map now. And just about 100 more food, 50 more food even, a little bit more gold, and he's actually going to be able to click up into castle, and if he can get there, he's going to be in a very, very good spot. Secondary stable going down as well, so going to go for that knight play, hopefully going to be able to defend his base. If he can do that, get up into castle, the knight's going to be such a strong addition to the team. And it looks like going to be forced into here. A couple of spears moving in. Going to push those scouts away. Really good predictive play there. Getting rid of those guys. And it looks like we can see some more spears moving in as well. So you're going to have to be very, very careful here not to lose too many. Only thing is, though, the skirmishers can take out those spears quite easily. So if it's going to come down to micro more than anything. Looks like he has noticed the skirmishers and will get out of there. Clicking up to Castle Age now. So in a pretty good spot. What he needs to do, though, scale barding on the way. Needs to get a huge gold income at the moment. Basically, if he can do that, he's going to be in a good place to pump out a couple of those knights. Get into the eco. Really do some damage. Because he can get into the wood line here, even into the farms in the back corner. Going to be a huge amount of issues, and of course knights as well. Just going to absolutely wreck those skirmishes. Scouts not going to be so impressive against them either. Of course, bloodline's always a good one to go for. That extra 20 HP is a lot of extra HP overall, so really going to have to be careful with that one. A really good fast wall going up as well, so going to be able to defend himself from the scouts quite effectively there. Basically, it looks like we're just going to be seeing some poking and prodding from Dogao now, so I've pumped things up a little bit in terms of speed. Going to move in with some skirmishes here. Try and push in against these guys. And going to potentially push these villagers out. Going to get the double wall, though. So it looks like he's going to be absolutely fine to hold this one. Dogao, though, has clicked up to Castle Age now. Bloodlines and Forging both going down for Spring. So it looks like he's really trying to get the ups for those knights. A couple of archers, though, in play for Dogao. Going to go up to crossbows with them. Probably transition into cavalry archers. Not a bad tactic at all, especially if you can get enough of them out. Once you have enough units out, basically cavalry archers just start to absolutely dominate everything. Just got to be careful of a couple of mangonel hits. And, oh, these scouts, I think they're on stand ground. This is not what you want to see. 2 spears are dealing with all of these guys. And, man, that is a really good trade there. Spring really lucking out that his opponent hadn't done that. So, man, that actually really hurts to watch. Sorry to say, Dogao, real sad to say. Looking in across here, a couple of the scouts and archers have moved back to base. I think they're expecting it. Scale mail armor on the way down for Dogao. Looks like he's expecting the knights now. Of course, he has scouted the double stable at the front there, so he knows exactly what is going on. In fact, he's up to the triple stable, so going to be going for a huge play here now. Hopefully he has the resources to make it happen, as well as building a couple of villages. And it looks like he did queue up some scouts there by accident. A couple of villagers queued up as well. So really needs to be careful to actually hold this one, because 3 knights, that's a lot. Spring going down with chainmail armor as well. Well, chain barding, I should say, for those knights. So going to be in a really good good place. He's got the bloodliners on them. He's going to have the 2+2 armor. Going to be able to do a hell of a lot of damage, especially against a couple of skirmishes here. Third knight out in play as well, so going to have to be really careful to actually have the food income to keep this one going. So he's going to have to drop a lot more stables, and he's going to actually have to get a lot more villagers onto wood as well. So he's going to have to be careful. He hasn't actually overdone it with the 3 stables, and go from there. It looks like we do have a villager moving forward as well. Going down with the siege workshop on the front, so it looks like he's going to get super aggressive here. Going to go for a mangonel, probably by the looks of things. Start pushing in against that town center, and going from there. Dogao up into Castle Age, and looks like we did have a trapped sheep by the looks of things. Interesting enough, and Spring saying trying to steal his sheep, and there we go. We have the 2-3 knights dealing off with pretty much all of those skirmishes. A huge issue there for Dogao to actually lose so many units to that, and we do have some knights starting to make their way across the map. The good news is, though, he is prepared for this. He's got a lot of spears out in play. He's going quite into pike now as well, so going to be able to defend this one relatively easily. Going up with the town center as well, plus a third. So he's going to be in a good place to do a boom here. Basically, because we can see the commit to military from Spring, the longer this game goes now, the further and further Spring's going to start to fall behind. If he can get in and do the damage, make the use of these military units as best he can, it's going to put Dogao in a very bad spot. But if Dogao can just tough it out, survive, get that villager count up nice and high, he's going to be in a great point to pretty much just roll Spring as soon as it comes around time that he can actually start pumping into military. Popular-wise at the moment, we're looking at 69 for Dogao, 55 for Spring, 50 villagers for Dogao, 43 for Spring, and military units we're looking at 20 for Dogao, 12 for Spring. So again, we can see we do have quite a few military units out in the field for Dogao. They are direct counter to the knights, so they are going to be quite effective at that one. They do have forging on them as well, plus the +1 armor, so going to be in a good place. And of course, he's not going to want to fight this one. Getting one hit in there, so doing some serious damage to that knight already, just with the one hit. And Bodkin Arrow going down for Dogao as well. Maybe going to see a Castle Age transition, I guess. And, ooh, a Scorpion coming out from Dogao. Really interesting. Going to be quite effective against pikes, I guess, if they are built up in there. So we will have to see exactly what happens. But from that, not sure exactly where this one's going to go. Gonna have to wait it out at the moment. Looks like Knight's trying to find a way to get in and get some harass going. Not going to be able to get in through here, sadly. Basically, looking back at base, we can see quite a few knights out on the field for Spring. He just really needs to be doing something with them now, because he hasn't got his second or third town center up, and he's just starting to fall behind in terms of eco, and that's where things really get bad. The good news is, though, with this mangonel, he's going to be able to put some serious pressure on, which is going to be nice. He's going to have to come outside of his walls, going to have to get out of here, going to have to find a way to deal with this mangonel, which, of course, mangonel's not an easy one to deal with. Quite a few cavalry archers out, though. Could potentially take this one out quite easily, and a couple more cavalry archers there as well. Getting right on top of it, moving the knights in, and oh, that's a really good hit there. Going to get some serious splash damage, but he has lost the mangonel to it. He's going to delete off some wall and run into the TC as well. You have to be very careful here with the knights as well, not to just fall into those pikes, because if those knights get traded off to the pikemen, it's just going to be such a bad overall score tally there for Spring. Not exactly what you want to be seeing. Dogao currently about 600 points up in the score. Spring at 3,400, Dogao at 4,000. So it is getting very, very close. The bad news is, though, Dogao's really starting to take away with this one. He's got quite a few cavalry archers out in the field. They've got Bodkin Arrow. They've got their +1 ups on them. They've also got bloodlines from there as well. The Scorpion's going to move out as well. Hopefully going to be able to get, if he can actually ungarrison about here, yeah, and shoot straight across this one. Ooh, this is actually potentially really good. He's getting some serious damage in there on top of those guys. With a couple of pikes, can deal with the Scorpions quite quickly. Those Knights not looking like they're in a good situation now. Really trying to get in as much damage as they can. Scorpions not in a good way. Going to get taken out quite quickly. Doing some serious damage, though. He has taken out most of the pikes now. However, pretty much losing all of his knights in the process. Definitely not a good trade here. Spring going to be playing the comeback from here and over. Dogao now with 1,000 points up now. And not good. And there's the GG from Spring already. Really interesting play to him to see him move forward so quickly. Dogao just saying, keeping his cool, keeping out back at base, building up his cavalry archers moving through. I hope you enjoyed the game, guys. It was a bit of a short one, but it was nice to see something a little bit different for once, and that uptime from Spring, that was absolutely fantastic, guys. Definitely go through the rec, figure out the build he was using, give it a go, because that's just absolutely awesome. Alright, guys, I'll catch you in the next game.